Best episode of the show, hands down. I know. As a Tolkien show, it's not good, but we're moving past that now, right? The Rings of Power is something else entirely. So this entire episode focuses on one single storyline instead of being fractured across a whole bunch of different storylines. So the Galadriel Númenórean storyline has come together with the Southlands and the Adar storyline, right? With the Arondir and Adar and the orcs and Bronwyn and all that. And it all comes together in this one big battle. The way Adar and the orcs are going after this ring and Arondir and Theo hiding it and all... the ring. The sword. They're treating the sword like the Ring of Power. It's like there was even one scene where Arondir tried to destroy it and he couldn't destroy it, and I'm just thinking like, okay. Turns out this sword, it's pretty much like a hilt with a broken sword, but it's the same sword that Theo is holding, the one that regenerates with his blood. It's a key. It's a key that you put it in the socket, turn it, and it activates Mount Doom, and it blew up and and it creates Mordor. So the sword is the key to create Mordor. All right, we'll go with it. I mean, I guess, yeah, that's not Tolkienian, but it's cool. I like backstories. I like origin stories. So in the Rings of Power universe, that's how Mordor is created. But let's rewind a little bit and let's go back to Adar. I'm telling you, man, Adar is not a bad guy at heart, okay? Before the fight, he planted some seeds and he said, what did he say? I wrote it down, I think. New life in defiance of death, or something like that, to that effect, right? Arondir did the same thing, right? I'm guessing this is an elvish custom. We later find out that with this interrogation scene with Galadriel and Adar is one of the few twisted elves. He's like a prototype orc, and there's a few of them, and he really views himself as a father to the orcs. And Galadriel wants to commit genocide. She wants to go after every single one of Adar's kind. And the way Adar's coming off as is he doesn't really like Sauron, because to Sauron, the orcs are expendable. And to Adar, the orcs are his family. Adar's coming from a place of good, right? He just wants the survival of his people. He wants them to be able to live, have a home, just like any other created being. Galadriel, on the other hand, the hero of the show, wants to kill them all. It comes off as Galadriel is the evil one and Adar is the good one. And I don't think it's supposed to come off that way. The way Galadriel's talking, like these are twisted elves, right? So like a half-breed type of thing, like orc and elf together, right? It's a bloodline that should never have existed, and Galadriel wants to go in and wipe them all out. It reminded me of the Book of Enoch and Genesis 6. There's a theory that fallen angels, which would be the elves, came down and laid with the women. In this case, would be the orcs, and created this half-breed, which would be something like Adar, right? And in the Book of Enoch, I believe, God sent down angels and used the flood to wipe out all these half-breeds, the Nephilim. I have another channel called Faith Quest where we delve into that type of stuff. If you guys want to check that out, it's interesting. But that's what I was thinking of when I was watching the scene. I was like, okay, I don't know if that's the parallel they were trying to draw, but that's the first thing I thought of. All right, let's rewind a little bit. So Bronwyn and Arondir and all of them have left their fortress, right? They set a trap. Arondir set a trap, and I wiped out a good chunk of the orc army, and they flee back into a town and set up their defenses, right? They have carts that they're going to light on fire and send down, and they end up making a trap where the orcs are surrounded by fire, and Arondir and the rest of the men are like picking them off with their arrows. So the battle ensues, and Bronwyn ends up getting shot with 2 arrows. So that was crazy. I'm like, dang, Boromir got shot with 3, I think, right? In the Fellowship, and he died. But Bronwyn got shot in the shoulder, and I think 1 in the calf, right? So not too major. So she ends up living. Arondir put some seeds in her wound and burns it up. It reminded me of, you've seen those videos where people fill objects with sesame seeds and glue and sand it down and then paint over it, and it's like brand new. That's how they filled Bronwyn's wound. It was honestly before that even happened, Arondir got into this fight with this orc, and it was brutal, bro. Arondir and this orc were fighting, and the orc was winning, and okay, first off, as soon as I saw the orc getting the upper hand, I knew Arondir was gonna go down and Bronwyn was gonna come and save the day. I was literally waiting for that to happen, and it ended up happening. There was a scene where Arondir had gotten the orc in the eye, and the orc pushed Arondir back up against the well, and you can see like the blood, like that orc black blood just gushing down onto Arondir's face from his eye socket and pushing the blade closer to Arondir's eye, and that's not. I feel like that bro, that can't be PG-13, right? I don't know. I mean, maybe because the orc blood is black, so it doesn't count. But that was pretty gruesome, bro. Like, and also when they were in the tavern, when they were healing up Bronwyn and Bronwyn was lying there, the Adar came in with the orcs, and they were looking for the that sword, the sword hilt, and they were just offing guys, literally just slicing necks, stabbing. The orcs were just going one by one, just killing people, no mercy. That's pretty gruesome. And the blood, and when they were healing Bronwyn, the blood was gushing and all that stuff. It got pretty intense, I'm not gonna lie. So once they get all their fortitude set up, you see the Arondir look over the hill, and the torches slowly come up over the hill, and the music, the soundtrack just trickles in, like you hear a little chime, and then a torch comes up. You see the torches just trickle in over the hill, and then the music intensifies. It was nice. I like that part. One of the biggest issues I have is, yeah, the battle scenes were pretty cool, and Arondir's at stake, Arondir's life's at stake, Bronwyn's life was at stake, but the only, like, I don't care about these characters. We've spent such little time with these characters that we haven't gotten close to them. Arondir, I feel like we could have been like, oh dang, man, if he died, that would suck. But I don't know. I don't feel any connection. And with Galadriel, I don't like Galadriel. They made Galadriel unlikable. The show wastes so much time, but we spend such little time with these characters because we're bouncing all over the place with all these different storylines going on. So now let's jump to the Númenóreans and Galadriel and Halbrand. They've been sailing this whole time, right? They landed with all their horses. I don't know how they fit those horses on those 3 ships. Somehow they actually knew where the battlefield was. I don't know how they knew, but they arrived just in time. Galadriel is literally like doing some crazy maneuvers. She is like hanging off the side of the horse, upside down. They're mowing down all these orcs, and they're trying to find what Adar was looking for, right? Then they see Adar run off. Galadriel chases him. Halbrand goes after her. If Halbrand is Sauron, this is going to make things really interesting because we have a relationship between Adar and Halbrand. Halbrand was like, do you remember me? Do you remember me? And Adar's like, no, I don't remember you. So they end up getting the sword, which turns out to be a little hatchet. That old guy, that Morgoth sympathizer that we saw earlier from the town, ended up having it, put the sword in, turned it, Mount Doom explodes, and we get the creation of Mordor, right? So now we're back to Adar in the shed with Galadriel, and Galadriel's questioning him, right? We talked about how Adar told Galadriel that he's a twisted elf, one of the prototype elves, and he really is a father to these orcs. And one interesting thing he said is he killed Sauron. He split Sauron open. And obviously Galadriel's like, yeah, okay, I don't believe you. I was watching Angry Joe's review, and Joe makes a really interesting theory. They're not following Tolkien lore, so throw that out. So thinking like that, what if Adar split Sauron in 2? And now Sauron is in 2 halves. One half is Halbrand, and the other half is the wizard. Because so you have the one half who is really good at smithing and all that stuff. He's a human. He doesn't know. Maybe Halbrand is Sauron. But he doesn't know who he is. And you have this wizard who has all his magical powers, but he has no clue about anything. He can't articulate himself at all. And we saw that the fire, I mentioned this in my other review, that the fire that the wizard landed from the meteor was cold. And Galadriel told us that evil is cold. So, is this wizard evil? Could this wizard be the other half of Sauron? I mean, you can't put it past the showrunners, right? They've changed so much. But yeah, I thought that theory was interesting. Adar, being a twisted elf, actually points out that Galadriel has been twisted by the darkness. And we can see that. Like, you're supposed to be a good guy, yet you're talking about, Galadriel, is talking about committing mass genocide, literally wiping out Adar's people, all of his people, when the only thing he's trying to provide is a home for his family, his orcs, his children. It makes you question who are you rooting for? Are you rooting for the good guys or the bad guys here? That's a huge factor that goes against Tolkien, right? Because Tolkien's work, there is a clear good and there's a clear evil. Just like in the Bible, there's a clear good and a clear evil. But yeah, man, that was the episode. The Southlands have been turned into Mordor, or it's going to be it's turning into Mordor, right? The volcano is going to terraform the land and turn it into Mordor. Halbrand was named king of the Southlands, so he's king of Mordor. So we'll see how that goes. If Halbrand is actually Sauron, makes sense to me. But let me know what you guys think about the episode. I thought it was the best episode by far. It had the most cohesive storyline throughout. It didn't jump all over the place. It was interesting. We had action. So I thought it was the best one so far. But let me know what you guys thought about it down below in the comment section. And I will see you guys in episode... Damn, what episode was this? 6, right? I'll see you guys in episode 7. Take care. Bye-bye.